Welcome back. Thanks for staying with us on the Newsfeed PM edition. I'm Mpho Sithole. Let's take you to this story where KwaZulu-Natal Premier Sihle Zikalala will give an update on government's response to the April and May flood disasters. It comes as thousands of people affected by the floods remain in temporary shelters with no indication of when they will get proper accommodation. The KZN government says temporary residential units are being built in the eThekwini metro to accommodate the displaced people. Zikalala is also expected to give details of the provincial government's application to access the disaster relief funds, which have still not been received from the National Treasury. Last week, Treasury claimed it had not received requests from either provincial or municipal governments for the 1 billion rand set aside for relief efforts. At least 435 people lost their lives to the floods, with over 60 others still missing. Kouga Municipality has announced that it will start implementing water shedding in the towns of Jeffreys Bay, Humansdorp and the Greater St. Francis area tomorrow. Let's get an update from Hattingh Bornman, Deputy Mayor at Kouga Local Municipality. A very good afternoon to you. Thank you for your time. You saying that this has to happen. Water shedding must occur. There are no other options. Talk to us about that.
I thank you. Good afternoon. Yes, we've tried to negate and push back this day for as long as we could, but unfortunately at this stage we don't have any other options. Our water supply from the Mpofu Dam has dried up at this stage, so we only have one source of in our catchment area, which is the Churchill Dam, which is only at 10%. So it's just unavoidable for us at this stage, unfortunately.
In terms of processes, how are you going to manage the times and, making residents aware, as well as businesses, of how your plan will work out?
Sorry, I didn't hear that. Can you just
In terms of
please?
process, how are you going to manage this strategically in terms of time frames and warnings for residents and business?
Yeah, so we have been communicating with our community, with all our towns on a regular basis for the last 2-3 months already, explaining exactly what we're going to do, what our crisis management plan is, and how we're going to deal with it if and when this day arrives. And it is now here, and we do have currently only one area that is completely without water, which is a small part of Humansdorp, and we've got water collection points there. We've got roaming water tankers in the streets, driving the streets, so that we can make sure that people have access to drinking water. The rest of our towns will have access to water from, after 4 in the afternoon and until 10 o'clock in the next morning, so only during the evenings and early mornings. And then we do also have some water collection points for those areas where water pressure will be very low and drinking water isn't available.
And very lastly, 51 million rand has been set aside to deal with the drought relief in Kouga. How is that going to be spent to ensure that there is a longer-term access to water to avoid days that you're anticipating?
Yeah, so currently those funding will be primarily for the treatment of water. We actually do have enough underground water, and we've been drilling boreholes, which have been very successful and yielding a lot of water. The quality, however, is not that good. So we wanted to make sure that we obviously have to make sure that drinkable water is in our taps. So the money that we're getting now, all of those money will be going into the treating of the water so that we can get that into our reservoirs. This wouldn't have been an issue. Unfortunately, the Nelson Mandela Metro, who's our neighbors next door, they're sitting in a similar situation as us, and they're over-extracting from our dams by more than 30 million liters per day. So that's the reason for the low dam levels, and that's very frustrating for us, because we're not the managers of the dams, but we get our sources are the same. So, but they're managing it on our behalf, basically. So it's very frustrating, and that's why we're making sure that we have other sources available to us where we can get water from, and the 50 million will go directly towards that.
Well, thank you so much for that update. Hattingh Bornman, Deputy Mayor at Kouga Local Municipality, joining us there. Let's